Hello, welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to be answering your questions. Some questions and themes I got through the week so far. And I'll wait to see if any of you guys come in and have any questions. But I'll jump into some of the questions I got this week in my comments and DMs. If you're new here, I live stream twice a week and answer your questions about mental health, relationships, toxic relationships, healing after narcissistic abuse, and especially because I have a course on that. So any questions you have, I specialize in personality disorders and I'm a coach and a therapist. So let me know. I will jump into some of the questions I got thus far, but let me know if you have any questions. So the first one I want to get into is being addicted to the narcissist. So sometimes I just get an influx of certain questions, and this one was one of them. And it's like, okay, I'm addicted. I am so obsessed with this person. I'm in love with this person. A lot of times they'll say, I'm in love with this person. And it's like, no, you're not really. But hold on, I want to change I just want it to match my nails. Is that wrong? I don't care if it is. Okay, so the first thing is about being addicted to the narcissist. I've said this before. Narcissists are like drug dealers. They study you, and whatever you want, whatever insecurity you have, whatever like deep desire you have, it's to be loved, it's to be in a relationship, to be supported in some type of way. The narcissist will come in and play that role, and you will start to literally exude with all of these like hormones like oxytocin and serotonin, and you're on this big high, dopamine hits, all of the things, right? And you're like thinking, this is the one, and it's happening so fast because that's what they love to do, have things happen really fast because they're love bombing you and saying all these things like, this has never happened, you're the one, I can't believe, like all this stuff, and I've never felt this way, all the things to get you to buy in. And it does feel good, even if you know in the back of your mind you're like, really, something seems off. It still feels good. You still go along with it for those reasons, and you're literally getting addicted to these feel-good chemicals. They're literally creating a true drug addiction. So when the first devaluing from that narcissist happens, you're like, whoa, where is my dopamine hit? Where is my serotonin and oxytocin hit? I thought I was the best thing in the world and that we were in love and we're going to get married and do all these things, because they future fake a lot too. So you're like, what is happening? And you're doing everything to chase that and get that back. And then you're in a place where your cortisol is so high. So you went from serotonin to like cortisol, and you're like really chasing to get that back. And it creates this very anxiety inducing loop. And then you might get a little bit of the love back from the love bombing phase, but it's less and less each time, and you're doing more and more each time. And this is how that drug addiction is created. But some people, I mean, they write me all the time. They're like, I'm in love with this person, but they're cheating on me, but they dump me every other day. And it's like, you thought you were in love with this person during the love bombing stage. The love bombing stage is not real. In psychology, it's called idealization, because it's just that. It's just this ideal that is being created for you to buy into, so the narcissist can manipulate and control you. But I promise you that it's not what's actually going on. And you, in the meantime, especially if this is new to you, especially if it's the first time it's happened to you, or maybe even if it's not, you can really think you're in love with the person. And sometimes it is part of my job to tell people, yeah, you're not in love with the person and they're not in love with you. Because what does love look like? Does it look like chaos? Does it look like safe, not being safe and everything being unstable and walking on eggshells and feeling like at any time this person could abandon me? That's not what love is. That is something that the toxic person or a narcissist created to get you addicted to them and to keep you in this cortisol state. So you are always chasing them and going back to the admiring thing and all of the things that they are using you for as supply. But I promise you, my love, that you are not really in love with them. And I'm sorry, but they're not in love with you either. And like also toxic people and narcissists don't have the capacity to love you because they hate themselves. So if you hate yourself, if you don't love yourself, you really don't have the capacity to experience real healthy love. That is just how it is. And again, if you're new here, feel free to ask any questions related to mental health or anything else. I'm going through questions and comments I got this week and answering them out loud for you guys. Sometimes people leave me these long DMs and I'm like, I can't give you free therapy via DMs, but I can, if you want to listen to my live stream whenever you can, I will answer your question then. And also it's really good because if you have that question, I promise you so many other people have that question. You are not alone. Even if it seems like the most crazy thing, like you won't believe what this narcissist or this toxic person did. And can you believe they cheated on me and did this and lied to me in this way? Yes, I can. Because I've met so many people who are married to a narcissist and find out they have a family over here and another one on the East Coast and they're cheating and they're doing this. And, I found out they were gay. Like I've heard everything because narcissists hate themselves. So they always have to, they're only addicted to that love bombing stage where you don't even really know them. And everything's so new and it's moving so fast because they've never felt this way, all the things. They're just addicted to that stage where they're getting so much adoration. And that is all that they have capacity for, or they're choosing to have capacity for, because they can't experience real intimacy. Because real intimacy is about seeing yourself and really seeing the other person and creating a safe space, like the safe couple bubble that I talk about, and creating that safe space where both people can be seen and heard, and you can have an argument, even if it's a nasty argument, and then you can come back and forgive each other and feel like, okay, we learned something from that, and then the intimacy deepens. You have this deeper connection after safe and healthy conflict resolution. That's exactly what should happen. And with toxic people and narcissists, they just chase the next high. That's why they have all this supply in the background. Even if you're the one, they're talking to other people, they're doing other things, because there's this never-ending void of needing that and staying away from intimacy, because intimacy scares them the most. Hello, I comment to make you angry. Hello, Kijara. Nice to see you guys. And so the next thing I want to talk about is this healthy form of entitlement. Okay. And what I mean by that is whatever you want, like whatever your goals are, and like according to quantum physics, whatever you desire is meant for you to have, and you can have it immediately. We just have to be in a receptive mode and like feel like sometimes we need to feel worthiness or feel like it's possible and all of those things. But I just had such an influx of people via comments, clients, and that's why I did those post about, part of the reason I did the post about receiving money, like doing the neural conditioning to receive money, to receive the financial prosperity you want, to receive the love that you want. And I do have more of those coming for you guys. So because you get to have what you want in terms of love, money, and it doesn't have to be this big struggle. If you want to associate love and money with struggle, and that needs to take this amount of years, and it needs to be this, or I don't know if anyone would ever pay me for, my services in that way. So, okay, well, then that's what's going to happen. And this is why I always go back to our good old friend, Kim Kardashian, and there's a million people like this, but someone that doesn't have any talent, that doesn't really do much at all. She is a billionaire and she has all those things because she feels entitled to them. She wanted to be on cover of Vogue when she was like a chubby, and she is like a chubby 5'2", whatever she is. That was impossible, right? But she's been on Vogue a bunch of times because she felt entitled to it. So if Kim Kardashian can feel entitled to her things and get them, you certainly can. And I will keep saying that because it is so important. And you have to feel like, because life will only meet you where you are. Like attracts like, everything is energy, right? So what is an energetic match for you? If you want, let's say, like X amount of money in your bank account, but you have this thing around unworthiness or this thing perpetual anxiety, like, I need to work hard. There's something I haven't done. There's something I haven't done. Like a lot of people that come from abusive backgrounds, they always feel like they have to overperform and they have to over and do all these things just to get a little bit, and it could be taken away from them any time. If you can release that old patterning, just realize where it came from. Like, oh yeah, when I was younger, or someone told me that like I need to do this in order to earn this. And it's just not true, because there's plenty of people that are less talented than you, less pretty or handsome or intelligent, all of the things. Oh, is it blurry again? Thank you for telling me. I'm not sure how to fix it, but um, actually, I could try. Let me see what happens when I do this. Thank you for telling me, Miss Priya. Okay, I'm gonna unplug this. Let me know if it gets better or worse. Oh, um, so, whatever it is that you want, need, or deserve, you are meant to immediately have. And I really am encouraging you guys, and I'll keep reminding you, because sometimes we don't need to be told something, we just need to be repeated, so it just gets into our mind and subconscious mind, just like a song that you've heard a bunch of times. And so you're all of a sudden, you know every lyric and you have the emotion behind it. And that's what I want you to have. I want you to have the emotion behind it. Like, yes, not only do I get to have that wonderful relationship and the best health and this job that this job title or this career, I can feel it and it is mine and I'm owning it. When you can own that aspect and you could really understand that you're meant to have it and that you're not settling for anything less. I was just dealing with a lot of clients this week, because my clients, and I'm so proud of them, they go from being in whatever shitty relationship or situation that they were in to now they're like starting their own businesses and they have great relationships. And so some of them that are expanding their business or starting a new one, they have some trepidation around like, um, no, I'm not just doing audio. Is the video gotten worse? Let me know. Because we know, if you're new here, I've had some like ongoing saga with the internet, and was dealing with that yesterday and switched over to like a different plan. We've been trying everything. So let me know if it's gotten worse, because I was directly plugging in my internet to the box, like to my computer, hoping that would help. Um, but yeah, let me know if it's getting any better or worse. Okay. But yeah, thank you for the feedback, because I want to know and we will resolve this, because if you've been here for a while, you know that the live stream, like, it was fine. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I will get to the bottom of it. Um so yeah, like I was saying, so my clients have felt like, okay, well, there's just some trepidation around like, okay, how much do I charge? I don't want to lose a client, so maybe I'll undervalue myself or like have a discount. You don't need to do any of that. You get to constantly own who you are. Or like, even with interviewing for a new job, they're like, okay, well, I'll just say like the bare minimum of what I'd be willing to accept as a salary. No, shoot for, like, you are really good at what you do. You deserve what you actually want. So keep that in mind, you guys. And I want you, if you've been here before, I talk about knowing what your standards are, understanding what your standards are, writing them down. Hi, J Ro, writing them down. And I mean, in every area of your life, your health, wealth, relationships, and career, your connection with God, whatever you call it. Like, what do you want that to look like? And none of this bare minimum shit. Like, oh, okay, well, this is just enough. No, what is it? Like, how do you want things to look? Those get to be your new standards. And I promise you, even if it's like, oh my God, that's far-fetched to receive that much money can I really have my health like that? You can. And you can have that relationship. You can have whatever you want. She talks about so many great things, guys, really. Oh, thank you, J Ro. I hope you guys can see me. I'm working. Thank you for your patience with the internet thing. We'll get to the bottom of it. I've literally called someone every day this week, gotten a new box, tried plugging it in. We'll get to the bottom of it. We'll get to the bottom of it. So I really for this week, I really want you guys to focus on that. Like having a healthy entitlement for whatever it is you want, especially if you have a certain pattern in your life, like your relationships suck, or you don't get the treatment that you want at work, and it's been like a pattern, or you're always getting paid less than or you have some issue around your health or money or relation, whatever it is. I want you to look at that pattern and decide right now, today, that ends. You're not living like this anymore. Like Jim Rohn talks about this a lot, actually, or talks about it a lot. Like one of the most powerful things, like emotions that you could have in terms of transformation, is kind of like disgust, like being like, you know what? Okay, things have been like this, but I'm done. I'm fucking done. From this moment on, I'm not living like this anymore. I'm not thinking or having this relationship with my job, or how my coworkers or boss treats me, how my significant other treats me, how money shows up for me, whatever it is, that pattern is done. And then really making that decision after you kind of get to this point of basically like disgust, like making a decision, and then from there moving into action. So we're taking action from an empowered place. A lot of us take action from a place of disempowerment, like, oh, okay, I'll chase that client that won't really pay me that well, or I'll chase that relationship that doesn't that that person's insecure, so they're going to not treat me well. And no. So that's why we have to make a decision, and it's okay if it comes from a disgust place. It's kind of like a rock bottom type of thing, like, you know what, I'm not dealing with this anymore, and then deciding what your new standard is for that, and then taking action from that place, and like inspired action. So we're not taking action from like a scarcity desperation place. We're taking action from an inspired place, like a courageous place where it can feel uncomfortable, but that's because we're doing something new. And that's because this new version of ourselves does that on a regular basis. Like if you're new to creating content, oh, sorry, it's still blurry, Big Pontiac. Thanks for letting me know. Um, so if you're like creating content is one of the things, but this could be like your side hustle, anything, right? Where you're doing something new, can you be okay with it being uncomfortable? Because a lot of people, I'm gonna turn it off here. A lot of people are like, oh shit, I've never done this before. It's like, good. I'm glad you've never done it before. That means you're outside of your comfort zone and you're doing something different. I love it. And that's okay. So we can be okay with being a little uncomfortable. And then moving from there and taking inspired action from there. So let me know if you have any questions. Also, let me know if you have any wins that you want to celebrate, or any like intentions that you have. Let's see. J Row. Oh yes, by the way, I switched jobs. Nice. Are you excited about that, J Row? Miss Priya, why is it that we get to our 30s, 40s when we hit this point? What do you mean? What do you mean, Miss Priya? Why is it that we get to our 30s and 40s when we hit what point? I mean, you could hit any point at any time. Can you elaborate on that? I'm not sure what you mean by that. But congratulations on the job switch. I hope it's something that you're really excited about. And Miss Priya, point of not settling or putting up with that could happen at any point, right? And so I work with people of basically all ages, and I have people in their 60s and 70s that are like at that breaking point now. They're like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm not doing this anymore. So it's never too late to do that. And it's also and I'm glad. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but it doesn't matter like what age you are. And so there's something about that question that's like, oh, well, I've wasted this time. Like, why did I have to get into my 30s? And they're in your 30s and 40s figuring this out. That is great. Some people never figure it out, which is sad, and then some people figure it out later in life. So, and I would say on average, this is when people kinda hit their breaking point and decide that they're not settling for anything. Alcoholics, like, when the average age for an alcoholic to, like, stop and, like, really stop for the final time and get sober, like, for real for the rest of their life is 40 years old. So, and that's a think about how, like, toxic that habit is and how, detrimental it is to your health and your family and everything. So, it sounds like you're right on track, Miss Priya. It doesn't, sound like anything. And also, I also wanna point this out because it sounds like it's like a little bit of an inner critic takeover, like, "Oh, really? Okay. Well, glad that you had that realization. Glad it took you so long." Like, no, we don't need our inner critic trying to sabotage our healing and evolution process. So when you notice that your inner critic is like, "Ugh, what's taking you so long?" or "Pff, yeah, you're too old," or whatever the thing is, you need to shut that shit down immediately. I have a lot of videos on that. But basically what you wanna do is notice that, the inner critic is judging you in some type of way. Any type of way that voice in your head is taking over and judging you, you notice what's going on. So you wanna pause, notice what's going on, and then be like, "You know what?" And then provide counter evidence. So, actually, I'm doing great, and actually, I'm happy that I am coming to this conclusion because I'm doing wonderful, like, everything. I want you to talk back to the inner critic and provide tons of evidence to the contrary. Um, because your inner critic is just trying to, that whole analogy about the crabs, like one tries to crawl up and the other one pull them down, like that. That's all your inner critic is trying to get you to do is focus on like a past version of yourself that's like criticizing you. And literally, it's like this little person in your head trying to gaslight you and devalue you. We don't have time for that. No. Um, so let me know if you have any other questions. I'll go to the other comment that I got this week. Um, Took a pay cut, but that job wasn't worth what my mental, state was going through, and there's a chance for me to refocus on that. I love that, J-Ro. Look at you taking care of yourself. I love that because, yeah, nothing is more, there's no price that you can put on your mental and physical health, and what I've noticed is that everyone, especially in my private practice, that does this, it seems like a step back, like they might take a pay cut or they might leave a company to start their own thing, and they're like, "Oh my god, did I?" And then they usually, I'm trying to think, I think in maybe every case, especially in my private practice, they end up making more money. They end up being so much happier and healthier, making more money, working less hours, and they're so happy that they took that, like, leap of faith, that little bit of courage to leave a situation that was draining them. You're maybe making a little bit more money, but you're up till 3 in the morning, stressed out or working, like, 16 hours or whatever it is. So, I am so happy for you, J-Bro. Congratulations on that. And that is just gonna lead to so many more better things to come. Because remember, guys, everything's interconnected. That's why when I'm telling you to write your standards and I say in every area of your life, health, wealth, relationships, career, your whatever your spiritual orientation is, because they're all interconnected. It has to be that every single thing in the world is energy. So of course everything's interconnected. So I'm so excited for you. Yes. Um, I notice sociopaths and narcissists make you feel like you're to blame and for their outbursts. Yeah, like any all of the personality disorders do that. So what they do is they'll cause chaos, they refuse to take any type of accountability. Can they? Of course they can. They have the ability to take accountability for things, but they refuse to. Why? Because that produces a sense of guilt and shame. Anytime they have to take responsibility for anything, it produces a sense of guilt and shame. So what they do is whatever negative behavior they have, they will blame you for it. And they part of them wants to believe that like this part, like we all have that. We all have anger. We all have parts of ourselves. It's like our shadow side that is hard to look at, but when you do, you can heal it and release it. So the point is that they have these aspects of them that they don't want to look at. So instead of processing them in a healthy way, maybe going to therapy, which they're terrified of, and looking at themselves at all. Why do they not want to look at themselves? Because they hate themselves. And they have so much unprocessed guilt and shame that's like this pile of garbage that's been just stewing for years in the middle of, a house or whatever. And it just stinks and it takes up everything. And then they try to get rid of like one little piece of trash, and which is like projecting onto you. And then like 10 more piles of trash grow like every time they try to do that. Because every time they do have an outburst, they do know what they're doing. And I have a lot of people get frustrated. They're like, they don't even think that they know what they're doing. And so that guilt and shame gets compiled, or, it stacks up in terms of, it stacks up over the guilt and shame they already had. So it just perpetuates. And that's why they need all these forms of supply to offload their guilt and shame onto love bomb and all this stuff. And it's just this never ending thing because they refuse to actually work on themselves. That's why I'm saying if we just leave these people alone, they'll have to break down and actually have to start to get help. But if we enable it through, even enabling it through fighting with them, because they're addicted to drama. And if you're fighting with them, they're going to trigger you and upset you, right? Then you have the outburst. And it's probably a normal reaction. And then they're like, whoa, you're being crazy. You like need to calm down. And so now it's your fault. So do you see like even engaging with them is a form of enabling them? So I'm telling you, the only way to hurt one of these people, to really get it to sting, is to walk away or do what I do, look at them and then just leave. And I know it sounds like, what? No, I need to tell them how it is. No, you're not dealing with someone with like normal defense mechanisms or that actually wants to solve the problem. So if you have the ability, and everyone does, but if you could just give yourself a little bit of pause and look at them and walk away, just completely do what you need to disconnect. If you're at work, just leave. You can still get what you need to get done. If you're married to one of these people, just go about your day, whatever you need to do with the kids, but fucking connect, because they need your energy. They're energy vampires. So any form of it, they'll take. And if you're not giving them the adoration, trust me, they have tons of supply in the background. And if you're not giving them what they until they start to realize in their brain, that you are not available to give them any type of outburst or drama or rage. Okay? Because all that is, the only reason they're trying to trigger you is so they could offload their guilt and shame and be like, wow, you're crazy. I don't need help. You need help. Why would you give them that? A good question. Yes, they do that. It's part of one of their defense mechanisms. So the other comment that I got, and this is like I don't want to say it's very niche, but it happens to people that are empathic, or, just naturally very caring and, just like really care, not doing it in a manipulative way. Just if you're an empath, you understand this, but it can happen to anyone. And that is sometimes the people that provide the most encouragement, provide the most love and the most support are the ones that get treated like shit the most, especially people that have not been working on themselves and that are not healing or doing any of the inner work. So you could often be putting yourself in a position for that person to completely shit on you, especially when they start doing any type of work or they're stressed. So it looks like, and like, I'll give you an example. This happened to me so many freaking times where I'm encouraging the person, like, yeah, like have good boundaries, do that business, whatever. And they're, letting other people dump on them or whatever. And then they might get irritated with me about something, which is fine. Like, every relationship, things happen, you have healthy conflict resolution and you move on. But they will take it as a time to just completely rage on you, and it's displaced from their shitty relationship at work or their husband or whatever, and they're just going and going, and you're like, okay, at this point you're beating a dead horse. Why are you still yelling at me? Like, I said I'm sorry, and by the way, and they're like, I have my voice. I am learning to say my truth. And it's like, yeah, but I've been the one to encourage you to speak your truth the whole time, and they're still yelling at you. This has happened to every empath I know. And so all I'm saying is that when this happens, don't put up with that shit. Like, there is a way for people to speak their truth and all of it without name calling, without saying, oh, come on, get over it. When you've been there for them the whole fucking time. And so again, if you're an empath, this is gonna hit home, but you don't get to just put up with that. And also another big trap that people do is like they forgive. Like, you can forgive, but it doesn't get to keep happening, right? So it's like, oh, well, they're just going through something. They're just like learning how to, find their voice. Fine, but that you don't get to be treated like shit because someone for the first time is learning to speak up for themselves. Okay? I don't want any of that. Like, we all know how to be respectful towards each other. And like, would you treat that person that way? No. And I really want you guys to, because a lot of you guys, I feel like you tolerate behavior that you would never do to someone else. So I really want you to be aware of that and have healthy boundaries with yourself, because you deserve the same love and care and support that you so freely give. Okay? Sorry about the video quality. Ugh, that's so annoying. I was literally, again, talking to my Verizon, whatever internet provider for 90 minutes. And then the day before, it was like an hour, at least an hour, might have been more. It's bullshit. I'm very annoyed. So yeah. So those were the comments and questions I got that that kind of like themes for this week. And like, this healthy entitlement thing has always been a thing. I really want you guys, whatever it is you want, like, own it. Own it. Neville Goddard talks about, a lot of people do, but it's like, if you have the desire, it's meant for you to have. It's just as simple as that. If you have the desire, you are meant to have it. So can you open up? Can you allow yourself to receive that? Can you feel worthy of that? It's often an invitation to feel worthy of what would make your life better, what would make your life great. And then, by the way, after you receive that thing, you get to receive the next thing, because we're about evolving. And Neville Goddard talks about it like, you're supposed to have these desires and receive them, quote unquote, manifesting them. So you can know how powerful you are and that you can manifest whatever you want in this life. Is this recorded? Yeah, it is. All my live streams, I record it, I answer you guys' questions, and then I just push. I know I'm blurry. Oh my gosh. I might end this one. Well, not that I ever have like a time I set on these things. I set an hour aside to do this, but like, if it's blurry, I gotta solve this by soothing Sundays, you guys. This is so annoying, and I don't know why. Because I've tried everything, and it used to not be. So I don't know what's up, guys. But I'm gonna keep looking into it. But if you guys have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna get off. Sorry that it's blurry, you guys. I'm gonna get off and do some more problem solving with this. Yeah, even the streaming thing I have, it's supposed to clear it up, but I think it's more of a Wi-Fi thing. I will get to the bottom of it. And if you're new here, Soothing Sundays, 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. And it's the same thing. I'll be here answering your questions, talking about mental health and relationships, and also on Soothing Sundays, we start with a neurological reprogramming technique for you to rewire your brain for the week to get whatever you want in life. But if no one has any other questions or comments, I'm going to wrap up. and get frustrated with my internet company some more until we solve this. Yeah, no, my mental health is good. I just get frustrated because I want to provide a very good and safe little container for you guys. And if it's blurry, it's not really doing that. You're welcome, Josh. And J Ro, I do need to get back into school. How should I go about this? To get back into school? If you're saying how should I go about this, I feel like that it's just a matter of eliminating some self-doubt because you could literally like sign up for one class. You could ask your job because a lot of jobs they'll sponsor you going back to school and taking like night classes and everything. So I think it's more about owning it. Like I am going back to school. I want to go back to school because of now if make sure it's not something like I should do this like your inner critic is beating you up telling you have to go back to school when you don't want to. Make sure it's a thing that you actually wanna do, and then if it's a true desire, and it's something that would actually make your life better, boom, you're claiming it right there. I'm going back to school, and I'm gonna be very supported from all directions, even ones I wasn't expecting. I'm gonna be supported in so many different directions, and it's happening. And when you come from that angle, all of a sudden, yeah, your work's helping you. All of this other support comes in, and it's just flowing. That's what I was gonna say, some compensation for yeah. So, I mean, like, it's so crazy when you decide, to that you're gonna have this thing. I'm just gonna have this thing, and I'm gonna make way for it to happen and just be like, "You know what, universe? I don't need to really know the how, but I want this. I'm, going back to school. Okay, so let's have all the things line up." And then all of a sudden it will. It'll just be like, "Oh, yeah, my job will help me in this way." Let's say you have kids, so and so is willing to babysit while I'm at school, everything will line up for you. But the only thing that you really get to do with all of your heart, really, is just have faith that it's all working out for you and everything is gonna line up and fall into place. Like, drop the old story. Like, and I know that sometimes it's like, "Oh, but it's always been this way." That's the past. Don't keep the past alive. I've done this a lot. I've helped people a lot in this way with, like, relationships. They're like, "Oh, what, I've always been cheated on." And I'm like, "That's the past doesn't exist anymore. You can decide right now you're gonna have the most healthy, loving relationship with someone that is so safe and monogamous and just only wants to be with you. But you have to devote all of your attention and energy to that and have the utmost faith that that's all you're available for, and then that person is here now. And that's how it will happen, and it always does. And it seems like a miracle, and it seems like, "Oh my gosh, your prayers were answered." Yes, because you were devoting all of your attention and energy and faith into that. That's it. So and especially with, like, money and things like that or, like, having resources, it's like, yeah, that just gets to show up for me. You know, especially if you have any type of higher power, I promise you, your actual higher power, God, whatever you call it, doesn't want you to suffer, one, and there's no such thing. God didn't invent scarcity, that's a man-made thing. So, we don't get to buy into that anymore. And think about what scarcity does. It gets you to buy things. It gets you to, like, think that you need something outside of yourself. You need this medication, and you need this makeup or clothes, or you need this, like, supplement, I don't know, all the things, right? And I'm not saying, like, it's nice to have nice clothes and good supplements. I talk about supplements sometimes, but it's like, "You need this or else this is gonna happen, or you're not gonna." That's a different thing. We don't operate from scarcity or any of the fear-based emotions, but especially scarcity. So, whatever you want for you is provided for you abundantly. That should be your core belief, or I'm inviting you to have that as your core belief. Whatever it is that you want, need, desire, it's provided for you abundantly. And again, if you have a relationship with a higher power, I promise you, God and the universe are always saying yes. They're like, "Of course you can have this. I put that desire in your heart for you to have. So I want you to have it immediately." But don't block it with the, ego mind of like, "Oh, I have to earn it, or it's hard, or I have to have all this suffering attached to it." No, you get to just immediately have it. I'm very passionate about that, you guys, because it's true. And once you own that, it's kind of like how we started with this healthy entitlement thing. The people that have whatever it is that they want, or even things that you want to have, they have it just because they feel entitled to it. That's the only reason they have it. Some of them are not as talented as you, some of them are talented, it doesn't matter, but they have it because they feel entitled to it. Meanwhile, there are plenty of people that are very smart and, like, so educated and don't have much because they have this thing in their mind that they have to work harder, it's not logical or it's not realistic. What the fuck is realistic? You're creating your reality all the time. So, you might as well just own that things get to be easy for you and you get to have things just because you're you. And you could even say, "You know what? I've worked hard and I've suffered long enough, and you know what? I'm just ready for it to fall in my lap and be easy." That's one thing I tell you guys a lot and, in my content and my private practice, let it fall in your lap. Oh, expand your ability to receive good things, okay? Um, alright, you guys. I will see you for Soothing Sundays. I'm gonna keep working on this internet issue. I was so hopeful for today. Mic drop, preach, girl. Thank you. Yes, I will preach. Yeah, I feel passionate about you guys having all of that. Um, but literally, my internet person was like, "Hey, did you live stream yet? How did it go?" And so she's gonna call me first thing in the morning. I'm gonna have some bad news for her, but we're gonna get to the bottom of it. I promise. Okay, guys, I love you so much. I will see you Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific. And, in the meantime, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. If you have questions, DM me there, and then I will answer them in the next live stream. Okay? Love you. Have an amazing rest of the week, and I'll see you on Sunday to start the rest of the week off strong. Bye.